Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Building Mark, where we break down businesses and mindset for the next generation. I'm your host, Mark Fonte, and in today's episode, we will be learning directly from people who have built something real. A lot of young people, including myself, are trying to figure out where to start, what matters, and how to think differently when it comes down to business. Today, our special guest is a New York billionaire, real estate mogul, and philanthropist, Mark Stagg.
Becoming a millionaire in your 20s, and we're talking 40, 30 years ago, the money, and I gave up everything I had. There's a lot of dreamers out there. How do you make those dreams a reality?
He's the founder and president of the Stagg Group, a real estate company focused on building quality, affordable housing across New York. He started with a small multifamily homes in Bronx and has grown into a major developer. Known for his resilient, smart growth strategy and commitment to giving back, our guest brings real insight into what it takes to build and scale a successful business. Please welcome the one and only Mark Stagg.
What an introduction. How do I live up to it? But
You do.
thank you for the introduction. Somehow it just happened to hear where we've become and what we were. But I think we keep the core principles.
And what are those principles?
The principles are it's always about the basics, the build. My motivation in housing people, I could have done a lot of things in my career. And to be able to house people, and I say this quite often that many people in our industry, in my business, a lot of people call them units, a lot of people call them apartments. My tagline is that these are homes we're creating.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have a deep affection for the less fortunate. uh, you might call them the forgotten ones, and they seem to be priced out, especially in the region that we're in New York. So we're very proud, and I'm personally very proud, and it's my core mission uh, to build quality workforce, affordable housing. We're looking at a project right now in White Plains, for instance. There's hundreds and hundreds, potentially thousands of apartments that are going up, $4,000 one bedrooms. And I say, do we need another $4,000 one bedroom in the city of White Plains? I think there's enough of
There's
those.
enough. Yeah.
So how do we build a $2,000 one bedroom for the real workforce, for the hospital workers that are up the road in White Plains Hospital, for the county employees, for all the people that come into downtown White Plains every day? Where are those people coming from? They're
They don't have a
traveling.
place to live. They
They
need
don't.
somewhere.
They don't. So we want to bring them closer to that work, home, play environment. I think I'm missing the word work, play, and fitness
You got the fitness.
environment. Yeah, you too. Not
Yeah, I'm
bad.
trying. You also do past that though, affordable housing. You give back to the community.
We do. We do. That's important. I think you have to know your responsibility when you reach a certain level of success, that you're not doing it alone. You're doing it with others, and I feel much better about myself when it's less me and I'm thinking of
Mm-hmm.
others. So we try to stay occupied uh, with certain organizations that do make an impact. And it's not just writing a check. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of rich guys out there that can write a check. I like to really get involved and take my organizational skills, take my motivation. Um, so we've been very
Yeah, I
impactful.
even see that. You go there. You're not just you're writing. That's a good example. You're not even writing checks. You're going there. You're actually helping.
We are.
Yeah. What's one decision you made early on that changed everything for you?
One decision early on. Um, I think you can't be afraid to fail. Uh, Too many people, I think, are designed to take the easier route, to
Just give
take
up.
the safe route. If you're going to achieve real success, it's got to be a little uncomfortable. Everything can't be.
You gotta get past uncomfortable.
You have to
Mm-hmm.
get past the uncomfortable. And then once you're past the uncomfortable, you got to believe it. You got to trust your instincts. I think I've got very good instincts. Um, I'm not always right, uh, but I do trust my instincts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the decision, early on when somebody came to me. I was very successful in the mortgage business, and a older gentleman by the name of David White, God rest his soul. I always bring up his name, and he said to me, "I've got a two-family lot for sale for $16,500." And I'm like, should I do it? Does it make sense? And I went ahead and I did it. And then, I
That
have
started everything.
I had started everything. I haven't looked back since. Thousands and thousands of units that we built that have been created into homes. And I believe once you get that wind behind your back, and you have all those core principles of one, always doing the right thing, think of others.
Mm-hmm.
Think of others. How is
Yeah, of
this going
course.
to affect the people that you're dealing with, whether it's subcontractors, whether it's the community, uh, the elected officials? Engage everybody, get that going. So that's important.
So you had that
To
one
me,
success and you just ran with it.
it started from there, from a two family to two families to a three family
Yeah.
to a
Oh, wow.
four-story walk up to my first elevator building. I was very nervous to build the elevator building. And once we built one, we haven't built anything but that.
Mm-hmm. If you had to start from zero today at 16, what would you do first?
I would work for myself. I just believe I enjoy personally employing people. Um, but if I was 16 and I had to give advice, wake up early. Everything happens early. The guy who gets out of bed at 8, 9 o'clock, he's usually not successful. Get a head start on everybody else. Fitness is very important to me. So I always remember coming out of the gym, getting to the gym at 5 and leaving before 7, and coming out and my hair slicked back, my tie on, my suit on. And I remember I was walking down the stairs ready to go for the day, and everybody else was coming in and they had their hair
They're just
messed up,
waking up.
and
This
they're
is like,
just waking up and they had coffee in their hand, and bang, I was ready to go. So I felt like I got a head start on everybody else. And that worked for me personally. And I would give that advice: get up early, stay late, and love what you do. Love what you do. You can't do it because you think you want to make money.
mm-hmm.
Money can be a side effect.
That's just like the outcome. That's just like,
It's just the
yeah.
outcome. But if you're saying, I want to make money, I want to make money, no. I loved employing people, and ultimately being creative, taking something and improving it and making it better. So that's my principal goal. And the result is,
You'd be a good inventor.
I don't know if I'm that smart, but uh, yeah. Yeah, so that's it. Taking something, making it better, leaving it better than the way you found it. So that's what I'm most proud of.
So that's your daily routine. Wake up, gym, get ready.
Jim, who can I help today?
What's the time frame on this?
What am I doing? As I'm getting older, I'm 60 now. Proud to say it.
Look 30.
Yeah, you're good. Flattery will get you everywhere in this world. So yeah, I'll wake up. The gym's very important to me. I have a certain faith that I'll start my won't leave the house until I, hit my knees and give my thank you. So that's important to me. The faith, the physical side of it, and then how can I be useful today? What time did you start today?
5 a.m.
5 a.m. Well, you know, not knowing, I know this is very important to you. The rowing, you got into it, and it just becomes a lifestyle. It becomes a way of life.
Every day.
And people from the outside look at you and they admire you for that. Wow, how can you do it? How can you be that consistent? You don't look at it that way. You look at it like, is there any other way?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm the same way. Is there any other way?
And they're thinking, how are you doing this? I would never do that. That's too much effort. They want to take the easy way out. Was there a moment where things almost didn't work?
There have been some financial crises that come up. And 2008 was a huge real estate downturn in the industry. Everybody's aware of it that knows anything about business and real estate. And what kept me afloat, I didn't have high end market rate apartments.
Okay.
I had affordable apartments that dealt with the common folk, that dealt with the workers of the world, that dealt with the MTA workers, worked for hospital systems, worked for city government,
Central workers
work
that needed.
central workforce, and they needed a place to live and they paid their rent. So I was able to survive. Uh, but it was a very trying time. Capital dried up. Nobody wanted to do
And at that
projects.
point, did you think you were gonna go down, or
No, I didn't think I was going to go. No, 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 not at all. I didn't think I was going to go down. But for a while, it got very tough. That how could I grow
mm-hmm.
if the everything is dried up? When capital dries up and banks don't want to lend, it's very difficult. So we pivoted from that, and we had the core base of our rental portfolio with the workforce people that paid their rent. We were able to get through it, and then there were opportunities.
And what would you say to somebody if they just started in 2008?
If you can get through 2008,
You're
it's
set.
you're going to be very successful. Yes.
What did you do differently than most people around you?
A lot of people say I have a lot of energy. That seems to be a quality um, that I have. I'm not risk adverse. A lot of a quote. The famous saying of "ready, aim, fire."
Ah,
That's how most people operate, and they've given me the nickname where ready, I fire. If I have an impulse, I fire. And then I say, how are we going to figure this out? Does this make sense? So it's a little unconventional,
mm-hmm.
but it's worked for me.
But it's worked.
It's been very successful for me. So I don't always want to be the cowboy on the horse that comes up and says, what's going on here? Let's figure this out. And I think one of the best qualities that I have is I'm not afraid to make a decision. Too many people are afraid to make a decision. And I'll make a decision and I'll live with the decision. Not every decision is right, but I'm not afraid in a crisis to come in, make a decision.
You're not wasting time thinking about it.
I'm not. Somehow it comes to me. And if you're going to be a good leader, you have to make a decision. And I try to teach that to my employees, the leaders of my company. Make a decision. You learn from the decision. That's it.
That's how you grow. Mistakes.
That's right. You'll know the next time.
When did you first start making real money, and what did that feel like?
Uh,
The side effect.
yeah. The side effect is you have to really keep your ego in check, because a lot of people, money can go to their head. They think
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of times. Yeah.
yeah, they think they might be better than somebody else because they make more money, and that's and especially in today's day and age, I think I always had the core principles. I'm not a show off type of guy. Cars don't do it for me. Um, Fancy things don't do it for me. So I'm glad that I don't have that thinking of the showy things. I would always turn all my successes back into the business. How can we be more useful? How can we help more people?
So you
How
could
can
grow
we
even quicker. Yeah.
grow, grow? So that's what the success. But it's not easy, and I made mistakes. The guy in my today at 60, I'm a different guy than I was at
Mm-hmm.
30.
Of course.
So becoming a
You learn.
millionaire, in your 20s, becoming a millionaire in your 20s, and we're talking 40, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, $1 million was a lot of money, and so
You didn't let that get to you
I didn't somehow. I made it through it, and I'm still, pretty much a low profile guy.
though. Mm-hmm. You are. You very much are. Yeah. But you're out there.
Eh, some might say that, but that doesn't do it for me.
Uh,
So you can look at me and, you know, say those things, but I don't look at myself and say those things about myself.
mm. What separates people who succeed in business from people who don't?
I believe if you broke up all the money And we all, and I gave up everything I had, and you took all the successful people, I believe all that's going to come back.
Just come back.
There are leaders and there are people who want to be led. You know, who are you in this world? I am definitely
And when do you think that's decided?
from a young age.
Young age.
You every and my friends will laugh from my and I'm still friends with my elementary school friends today. They owe everything came through me. Mark, what are we doing? Where are we going? What's happening? You know, today, and they're gonna have a chuckle.
Do you think people can change that?
I think so. And again, I think it goes back to uh, not being afraid to make a decision. Uh, that it's going to be a popular decision. Too many people are caught up into, am I going to be liked? How is this
Mm-hmm.
decision going to affect other
They're
people?
scared.
Yes, I think fear.
Mm-hmm.
Fear is the word that, and fear, holds a lot of people back from many.
They don't want to make a mistake.
Correct. Correct. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to, have anything negative. But the perception of something negative. Oh, they did it. They made the choice. I don't think like that. I think how can we make it better? How can
And
this
that makes you different. That's
improve?
that's
I
that's
think
your
so. I think
quality.
so.
The
I
leader
think so.
quality.
Yeah. From a young age, I knew at the basketball court at the park, we didn't have a net around the rim. And at a young age, I knew enough to get to the sports goods store, get nets, get a ladder, and put the nets up. That's who I
And
was.
you did that. Nobody else. You
Absolutely,
did that.
absolutely. And I got my friends, and I got somebody with a ladder. We got up there, and we put the nets on the rims. That was important. That was my life. The schoolyard was my life. We'd fix up the ball field. We'd rake the infield. We'd get the rocks out from the infield. We didn't want the ball flying up. We had to make it better. We didn't want to shoot with the rims alone. We wanted to, get a net. So I always thought
You
like
did
that
something about
from
it. Yeah,
from
you
the
did.
young
Yeah.
age. Yeah.
What's a mistake young entrepreneurs make when starting out?
They get paralyzed in their own mind. They can't make a decision. They don't know how to get started. There's a lot of dreamers out there. How do you make those dreams a reality? And
So you would say you need like a mentor.
not a mentor. I have a saying, move a muscle, change a thought. Too many people get caught in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Too many people get caught in their head, and they can never make that decision of fear. We go back to the fear. And I think that's, very important. So I live by the motto, move a muscle, change a thought. Just get going, especially the young entrepreneurs. If they can never, they don't seem to get
And how do
going.
you get started? How would these
Well,
entrepreneurs
it
get
depends
started?
what you want to do. If you want to sell widgets, can it be useful to people? Can the widgets be useful? You better have a good idea with the widget.
Good pitch.
Not a good pitch, but is the product good too? You look at the circus.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take for example. And what do they sell at the circus? Young kids go to the circus and they get excited with the lights and the things that give me a toy, give me a toy. So that's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to for the circus, but there's only so many circuses in so many towns, and how can you sell a widget? And you start with a widget. And I heard this in business class a long, long time ago in high school that stuck with me. And I was always entrepreneurial from a young age. I knew at 15 years old, we went in Chinatown, and I had a friend of mine that said, "Hey, we can get these watches, different type of watches. They're necklaces, they hang." And this was 1980, 1981. We went down, I rustled up. I was always entrepreneurial. I always had jobs, shoveling snow. When it snowed, I wouldn't wait for the snow to stop. That's not when you stop shoveling. You got to get out while it's still snowing and knock on people's doors. You got to get a head start. So by the time the snow stopped, I already had 5 jobs done, and I promised them I'd come back, and I'd come back. But I was on to my sixth house.
You had that mindset. You just
Absolutely. Everybody else I was on house 6, they were on house 1. What did I talk about?
head of the game.
Head of the game. So we took these widgets at I took a $2,000. I'll never forget. I came into school. This is a good story. I came into school with all these different pendants, hanging watches, watches around your wrist, and it was really cool. And I knew I only knew so many people, so I had to leverage myself on other people. So who did I go to? I went to other people. People that I knew, girls, entrepreneurial girls. Hey, I'm going to give you 20 of these watches. You sell the watches for $10 each. I'm going to give you $2 a watch. My cost was $2 for the watch. So I had a spread of
In
$6
school.
in school. The word got out. I'll never forget it. The word got out. The principal called me into the high school and he said, "What's going on here? People all wearing these different things." And I told him my story. I told him the truth. I said, I went down in New York City. I saw an opportunity that people would enjoy this and this would be useful. And I helped other people. Well, it's the talk of the school, Mark. It's the talk of the school. And, but he said, we have an entrepreneur, don't we? And I was 15 years old.
So even that young.
That's just the way I was wired.
If you could give one piece of advice to every high school student, what would it be?
Dream,
Dream.
dream, dream. Anything's possible.
Just keep writing everything. Just
Dream. Put your thoughts on paper. Make it real. Take the thought, put it on paper. You put it on paper, visualize it. I'm a big visualization guy. I always love
even
whiteboard.
goals, everything.
Everything. Everything. That's it.
So if you write it, it'll come true.
If you write it, you have a much more possibility of that coming true. Where do you want to be? Where do I want to be in 30 days? Where do I want to be in 6 months? Where do I want to be in a year? Where do I want to be in 5
What do
years?
you want to get done?
And remember, it's not just, I don't know if you're gearing this towards entrepreneurs or people that want to make money, but it could be in any facet of life. Relationships, that's important. How do you make a relationship better? Well, let's think of what the other person might want in that relationship. How do I work on that? How does my employees, how do I keep them motivated? What's good for them? What's good for the other person? So again, it goes back to the core values. If we think of others and we think of ourselves less,
You can't just think about yourself. You always gotta.
absolutely.
Where should people focus their energy on right now?
What makes them happy?
What makes them happy?
Be happy. Be happy. Whatever makes you happy. You like to get up at 5 in the morning. That is very invigorating for you. That becomes a way of life. That makes you happy. You don't feel the same when you wake up and you haven't worked out like you do, right?
Yeah.
So, what makes you happy? And hopefully more positive things make you happy than negative things. Because
That's actually so true. Because if I wake up one day and I don't work out, it feel like, I didn't do anything today. Gotta jump on it.
You got to jump on it. That's it. Somehow you do it and you have it at a young age that you're able to sit down, get an interview, get your podcast set up. So you're thinking out of the box, so good things, probability for you are going to happen. Because
Hopefully.
you're taking that thought and you're making it a reality. So too many kids your age, when they could think it, but to actually move the muscle.
So like you said, dream, but you actually gotta. You gotta
write it down, make it, and real attainable goals. Not, you can't write a goal. I want to have a Ferrari. That's silliness. That's not a dream. There's so many things. If you want a Ferrari, fine. If you like that, but there's so many things before that. That have to get to that point.
All right, we're gonna do some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Best investment under $100 for a teenager.
That is rapid fire out of the gate, huh? I know what it is. No investment at all. Keep your $100.
Double it. Just keep doubling it.
That's it.
One book, movie, or TV series everyone should watch.
book. I love autobiographies, and I love reading about not just business people. I just read a great book, Al Pacino. What an incredible life! What an incredible life! And to hear their journey and his journey in particular from the South Bronx, and you learn certain things, and
Inspired you.
it inspires. Very inspiring. So Serpico, the name of the book.
Serpico.
And
Morning routine or night routine?
morning,
Morning.
always morning. Never. Take any of the successful people, 90% of us are morning people. We get up and we go. We don't waste time.
Don't waste time. All right, last one. Risk or sustainability?
Risk. Always. No question.
Great. Well, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. What a pleasure it was today.
Pleasure to have
Wishing you the
You've
best
been
of luck. Always
great.
want to help somebody younger, and it seems like you're well on your way to a tremendous success story.
I'm trying, and my viewers are trying as well. So we just want to get any insight possible.
Good. I'm glad to help.
Give to the younger generation.
Absolutely.